Okay, so I'm glad my last video about the what the hell was it about? Blindness. Yes, I'm glad that video kind of went over well. Everybody seemed to like it. I think I figured out the key to making good videos on YouTube is to just focus on making good videos on YouTube and then let things sort themselves out. Putting out good content and people will eventually come see your videos. So I'm going to do that again today. And if you guys like these videos, like the blind one or this one, post it on your Facebook and Twitter it and whatever, send it around. Because I'm not doing the whole advertising thing everybody else does. And maybe I'll get back to where I used to be with the 20,000 people. And we'll go on from there. It'll be a huge success, and I'll get a TV show or something. Or I could go back to making podcasts, because everybody's been requesting that. And I really want to do that, but I'm not sure yet exactly how the best way to do that is. But we've been having some interesting discussions, my friends and I, and a lot of it sounds like a podcast, but I don't actually record it, so I'm going to go over a few of the things we talk about in this video, and I'm going to talk about some things of a sexual nature. So, the first thing, me and Spam, of course, I mentioned before in that video, Wizard 101, I got banned because they had somebody dancing in the corner of it that wasn't naked at all. But we watched these girls on MFC. I'm not going to give you the details or link to it or anything because that might get me in trouble, but basically, it's a webcam site where these girls strip and stuff, and you donate money and tip them and stuff, and you request things, I guess. It's really gay because they have these little walls of like numbers. If you tip certain numbers, they take it off the wall, and once you clear the wall, then they do something really crazy and stuff. And there's like this competition between all the girls. Like, if you guys don't know about this, you're not on the cutting edge of pornography like I am. They actually like try to one-up each other, and they keep track of what everybody else is doing, sorta. Like, there was this one girl who, she gets in her car a lot with like a laptop on wireless, I guess, and like she'll like put a condom on her gear shift and she'll bang the gear shift of her car. So she's kind of known as the girl who has sex with a car. So last night I was watching this girl, and I guess she was one-upping this other girl because she was in her car driving around with just like a button-up shirt on, no bra, no panties, and these girls, like, when you tip them, they really freak out, and they have to thank the person, and they're always, like, reading the chat, and it makes this little dinging sound when you tip them. And they're really focused on this, and she's constantly watching this laptop while she's driving down the street. And then she did some stuff, like, she parked in front of a Dunkin' Donuts, and she, like, took so many tips to, like, get out and run around naked for a second, and she got out in the mud with, like, this piece of plastic she put down and started doing herself with a dildo. It was pretty fucked up shit. I think at one point this guy in a white truck was following her and trying to see what was going on and stuff, and it was pretty messed up. But eventually, with people driving around with their laptops and stuff, like I've done this, I wasn't wearing no panties and stuff, but actually I wasn't wearing any panties, but when you're driving around with cameras and stuff and equipment and you're really focused on it, it's kind of dangerous. You could get into accidents. It's way worse than texting while driving, which is already pretty dangerous. But if you're actually putting on a show while driving and you're naked and you're like trying to chat with people and type to them and stuff and you're reading stuff, somebody's going to have an accident one of these days, and they're going to find, like, some crazy shit going on in that accident. The funny thing about this chick was she was getting a lot of tips, but they were all from, like, other cam girls. They weren't from, maybe one guy was tipping. There's, like, 3 or 4 girls that were, like, tipping, like, a crazy amount. I guess they just liked the idea of it, and they maybe wanted to do it themselves. So this is going to get maybe big, and maybe get even crazier. And I don't know, maybe people be flying fucking planes with no clothes on. Wait, there already was, like, some people got in trouble. I saw this a while back for, like, skydiving naked. Like, the girl was having sex with her skydiving instructor or something, and they had sex while mid-flight, I think, and then maybe they were seen because that was like a public display of nudity, even though they were like thousands of feet up in the air. And that was pretty messed up. I don't think they should have gotten in trouble for that, but I don't think they should have been doing it either because it's getting crazier and crazier, and this stuff is kind of exponential. It's kind of like the internet. Like, technology and porn moves at a similar rate. Like, the first thing that gets popular on the internet is the porn part of it. So me and my friends were talking about how come people don't do crazy crimes involving, like, a sexual theme. Instead of, like, the Columbine shootings, for example. Instead of going in there with your guns blazing and asking people if they believe in God and shooting them and doing a bunch of crazy shit and then killing yourself, what if they'd went in there with guns blazing, with pipe bombs, full rig out, everything, just to scare people? And then they herd all the hot cheerleader chicks into the library. And instead of shooting them, you gang rape them. Like, one guy stands watch over the other ones, and one guy just starts raping them one after the other, and then they end up raping everybody instead of shooting everybody. And then when the police barge in you and you don't shoot yourself, you just throw your guns down and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm not a virgin anymore, so I don't care. Take me to prison. Like if that was their MO, they wouldn't be virgins anymore. But if this had happened before Columbine, I think people would be really pissed, just because it's a huge crime to like rape a bunch of people. But if this had happened like after Columbine, like immediately after Columbine, I think the parents of the kids would be like, oh, thank God, they were just raped. Nobody died. Nobody got killed. Oh, thank God you just raped them. Thank you so much for raping my daughter. I mean, not killing my daughter. I think that's how it would have gone down. Because if you think about it, if you're one of these situations where your kids are kidnapped and you're really hoping they come back, it's been like over that 48 hours wherever they think your kid's pretty much dead by this point if he hasn't returned. Wouldn't you rather they just come back raped and be like, oh, thank God you're just raped. Oh, she's fucking raped. Yes, he's been raped. Or she's been raped. Like the Elizabeth Smart case, like when she was being held by those guys and burkas and shit. Like, wasn't she raped? I think she was raped. But when she came back, nobody really mentioned it or talked about it. Maybe they did. I didn't really follow that too closely. I just been listening to like Nancy Grace stuff. I've been trying to get down on Nancy Grace impression. But, another thing I think people should do, this one is kind of funny because I don't think anybody would get hurt, really. If you're, like, you got the balls and you got the guns, and people that rob banks, don't rob the banks. Let people have their money. Go into a bank. Take out your assault rifles, you know, shoot them up in the air, get everybody pretty scared and shitless, you know, and then just say, alright, everybody, take off all your clothes. Like, go into it when it's really crowded. There's a lot of people in the bank. You go in, make everybody take off all their clothes, throw them in a huge pile in the middle, and then be like, get the fuck out of here. Just make them run out of the bank, run down the streets. You're not holding anybody hostage. You're not stealing anything. Nobody was shot. You really didn't commit any crime other than make people take their clothes off and leave the bank. So you're causing a public nuisance or disturbance. Like, what's the most you're going to get out of that? How long could you go to jail for just making a bunch of people streak down the street? I don't know. Sounds fun to me. I would like to see that. I don't want to be in the bank when it happens, but I would laugh at the people that were in the bank when that happens. I guess you could rape like an old lady that was trying to get some quarters out of the bank or something for a kid's birthday present. You know, like, just to fuck things up and just like be like, what the fuck was he raping an old lady for? He didn't steal anything. I mean, I think rape is very bad. I would never do it. I don't think I could rape somebody, but rape's kind of funny, because animals do it all the time. You don't know that animals are consensual when they have sex. It's always just raping each other. And if you think that humans are just animals, technically, so what's the big deal, really? I have come up with 3 scenarios where I think rape is morally just and right to do. One of them is where I can come up with anything to be morally right and just to do, is based on the mathematics of it, where you're in a situation like that movie Saw, where you got somebody trapped in a cage and they're completely powerless, and they can't do anything to go against you, right? And you've got somebody in there with them, and you say, you've got to rape this person, or I've got 2 or more people outside here that I'm going to rape if you don't rape them. So if you don't rape this one person, 2 or more people are going to get raped. Could be hundreds, thousands, whatever. Like, if that's the situation, it would be morally correct to rape the one person, or to kill the one person, or rape or kill the one baby, or whatever you want to say, than to have more than that done on the outside because you're being forced to do it. Now, if you're like a Christian or whatever, you would probably say, like, I'm just going to not do it and die, and then we're all just going to have God sort out in heaven or whatever. But if you don't believe any of that crap, then I guess it won't be morally right mathematically just to do the one thing. Situation 2 and 3 are pretty much the same. One is if you're the last 2 people on Earth and the one doesn't want to have babies and you need to repopulate the Earth. Technically that one might not work because there's not enough genetic diversity with just 2 people. But maybe if you had like 10 or 20 people and none of the women wanted to have sex and you had enough genetic diversity to like recreate population of human beings on Earth and you think human beings should be on Earth, then it would probably be morally alright to start raping some women. Or women rape the men if the men are unwilling, but either way. Or the one that's really similar to that is if you're on like a colony on the moon or some other like habitable planet that nobody's gonna be able to get to you in time to have more people to populate the Earth, the planet or colony, whatever you're on, and you need people in order to survive because you're gonna have to build things and you need people to do like work on farms and stuff. You have to have people, not because the human race is down out, but because you need them to survive. Then I think it'll be okay to start raping a few people just to make babies to eventually grow up and be able to work the farms. So 3 situations I think rape should be okay, technically. Even though I'm still against it, those are extreme situations I think rape should be okay. Now, is it rape to like knock somebody out, make them go to sleep or whatever, and then artificially inseminate them and get them pregnant without having sex with them. Because you did sort of violate their will there, but think about this. What if that's how Jesus, like the whole story about Jesus, maybe it was aliens that came and impregnated Mary, and that's how he had these superpowers, they could walk on water and like raise the dead and shit. And the star that the three wise men were following was a spaceship. And the stuff they brought, the gold, frankincense, myrrh, was fuel for the spaceship. They needed it. Because I just saw Cowboys and Aliens, and the aliens were after gold, because gold's like a rare element. It's higher up on the periodic table. It's pretty rare. You might need it for stuff. Frankincense and myrrh, I don't know what that is. But it might be rare too. You don't hear about it much anymore. Maybe myrrh is some kind of isotope of uranium. I don't know. Probably not. I would really explain some shit. That's pretty much all I had, but now I'm sitting here thinking about some stuff like, if you wanted to play like a really good prank on somebody at school, pick like the least person you would expect to do this, like a nerdy kid or a really like strong Christian kid with a lot of values or whatever. Get the raunchiest, dirtiest, filthiest porn you can imagine, dolls, or get a blow-up doll, get some dildos, get some really hardcore shit. Find a day when they're going to do locker inspections. Stuff that kid's locker full of shit if you can get into his locker. I don't know how the deal is, but his locker combination, if they choose them themselves, is probably like John 3:16. So like 3:16 something else. So get into his locker and plant a bunch of shit and then see what happens. I'd like to see him try to explain like while it's, and it's like, well, there's so much, it's going to be really obvious that it was planted, because maybe just slip the one like hustler in there. Slip the one hustler in between his biology textbook that never gets used in his history book that they don't really study because they don't care. Wonder what would happen if you took two of the like really biggest proponents of, or people that are against gay marriage, politicians, let's say like Rick Perry and Mitt Romney. Take those two guys for example. Let's say somebody kidnapped them and put them in a room together and forced them to have gay sex. Would they do it? What would they do? I don't know. What if you put people in a situation where, let's say you did the bank robbery thing, you got everybody in there, and you pair people off, you give half the people a gun that has one bullet in it, one at a time, otherwise they could maybe overthrow your situation, but you tell the guy with the bullet with one gun, like he can either shoot his partner, which is some random person he doesn't know, or it could be like a family member that's at the bank with him, I guess, or it could be like somebody of the same sex, and they could be like really against like homosexuality or whatever, or rape. And then you tell them you have to either shoot this guy or have sex with him or rape him if they're unwilling to. Then what would people do? Or would they shoot themselves to get out of the situation? That's pretty fucked up though. I don't recommend anybody do that. Just make them all strip their clothes off and run out of the bank. That'd be alright. No panties or bras either. Fuck that shit.